Hello, everybody. This is Justin from Breakout Capital Ventures. Today, I'm joined by Alan Green, and we're going to do a deep dive into three shares. The first one we're going to start with is Immupharma. This one here, if I look at the chart, what I've got here, we had that blue box reversal zone down there at 1.25, which didn't quite reach. And then we had news out from the company and an absolutely stellar rise to the upside. It's sort of pulled back a bit here. We've had a couple of good days trading, actually. Today's seen, sort of another nice blue candle. Now, where do I think that's going to go? It's a difficult one to sort of call of an area to buy. I don't have a blue box reversal zone to make a buy, but I think that, once you pass this sort of 17, 18 pence level, I've got a huge target. My first area would be 26.6 up to 31.6. But in another way of charting, which I've sort of been doing in the recent past, I think that this could go right to the top of the box there at 56.4 and possibly up to around 70 or 80 pence, which, that's an awful lot of return from where it is at the moment. So, Alan, I'll let you talk about the fundamentals.
Well, those price targets, I don't think are unrealistic at all, Justin. The thing is, this is a biotech company, and it's in a revolutionary area of biochemistry, and also the marketplaces then, which is the autoimmune sector, is a huge market. But I'll come to that shortly. So, Immupharma is a specialty biopharmaceutical company. Develops peptide-based therapeutics. So what are peptides? These are drugs made of short chains of amino acids that mimic naturally occurring peptides. These act as hormones, growth factors, and neurotransmitters to regulate bodily functions. So two people at Immupharma Biotech identified a new subtype of immune disorder called type M, and this is where that they discovered that the company's lead asset, P140, selectively targets patient with this subtype, and it enables a precision approach to treating it, which combines accurate diagnosis and a very personally tailored treatment. Immupharma announced at the start of September it had filed a groundbreaking new patent application for its lead asset, P140. And it now refers to this as the world's first immunomorphizer, which is, I think, encapsulates nicely what the company is about. Now, this application should provide some 20 years of commercial exclusivity. The diagnostic test and treatment approach can be used to treat up to 50 autoimmune diseases. Through this, the company expects to identify what it refers to as a subpopulation of patients with type M immune disorder that are what the company refers to as super responders to its P140 treatment. In short, it represents a major step forward in precision medicine into the autoimmune disease market, which is valued at over 100 billion every year, which is, of course, huge. So key recent fundamentals to summarize: breakthrough in autoimmune disease that could be an absolute game changer. It, in my view, given the company's recent history and low share price and low valuation, makes Immupharma an attractive acquisition target for bigger pharmas right now. Because don't forget, this is how the big pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer, like GlaxoSmithKline, that's how they build their value proposition. Also, the company, the P140 lead team, that's Dr. Sebastian Goodrow, has been promoted to Chief Scientific Officer, and Dr. Laura Moran-Ambrosino has been promoted to Head of R&D at the company. The company has a lot of warrants out there, and it raised 159,000 in warrant exercises during September. This will, of course, help to extend the cash runway the company needs. And at the same time, it's also reducing its share, or the company Landstead, which, of course, has been funding the company, has reduced its shareholding as a result of the increase in share price. And this, if investors know about Landstead, this is a good thing. So, yeah, in short, Justin, I think that target could be very achievable, particularly if it moves into M&A, into the frame for an M&A target.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what I like about it is that I think today it stands at around a 65 million market cap, and as you say, the potential reward on offer here is 100 billion per annum. I mean, if you put that into a mine, or if a mine had a 100 billion project, this would be an awful lot higher. And the other thing to take into account, I think, is that the company is absolutely adamant that they're not going to raise capital at these prices. So, and as you say, they're raising money through the warrants. So, if they were going to raise, one would have thought they would have done that on that rise. So, as you say, clearly it's either merger, acquisition, or they've got other deals in the pipeline that are going to come through. And to me, it looks really cheap. So, yeah, a really good one.
I think.
There we go.
I think also just one more point on that. If this company were listed on the Nasdaq, you'd have a market cap valuation of about 3 to 4 times where we are now. So that's another factor.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Right. Okay. Let's go to the next one. MSMN, which is it's a retail favorite. And this one here, I've covered this off loads of times actually, and we gave this blue box reversal zone down here at 0.019, which it reacted to the upside, and then I had this sort of grey box zone there, which I thought we might see a bit of sellers, which we did. Now, where I think this is heading, well, I think that we're going to head up to this first red box zone here at 0.052 up to 0.0584, made that a bit bigger, but this is a target that I've had in place for sort of a long while. We haven't quite broken this prior high here, but at 0.08. But once we do break that, and I think it will break that, I think we're going to head up to this red box zone here. And, if we break that high, we should head up to 0.0878 as a minimum, and then sort of 0.1065 and even 0.1310 and possibly even higher. So, it's, as I say, it's a retail favorite. It's reacted well to those boxes. Historically, it's hit those price targets. So, Alan, what sort of news is going to be due out of the company, and tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I know the members of the board here, and it's the company, I think, is poised to deliver a sea change in terms of valuation. Now, of course, last time we spoke about Mendel Helium, in a helium-based company. We did that peer group comparison. Mosman is another helium play. Now, the company is focused on helium, hydrogen, and hydrocarbon exploration and development in the USA. It's looking for opportunities that generate operating cash flow, and that also at the same time offer development upside, along with progressing exploration permits in those areas. So there are 3 helium projects and 2 hydrocarbon projects in the US. The company also has 2 helium projects in Australia, which have been converted from operating projects into royalties, which provide upside without capital expenditure. The flagship project in the US is the Sagebrush project, which sits above the Leadville Formation, which is a premier helium and hydrocarbon target in Colorado, Northern America. The well there was drilled back in 1993, and although it was completed as a producing oil well, the data from the time, and this is in the latest presentation, so if you go to the Mosman website and download that latest presentation, you'll see the data from that 1993 drill. It was noted that the gas content contained 2.76% helium. Now, the great thing is the well alone is estimated to be worth some $4.5 million, and it offers long life oil production with low operating costs. Give you an example, and this is part of the attraction of Mosman. It's a cash generator. In the first half of this year, 2025, the well generated 6,268 barrels. It generated $350,307, and a net of $230,000 went directly to Mosman. So it's getting off $500,000 a year just from that well alone. the big step forward in September, the company hired global energy consultancy group Sproul to undertake a study of sagebrush, and it completed the study, confirmed sagebrush was a flagship helium project with prospective resources of 134 million square cubic feet. That's worth between $40 million and $80 million alone. Now, Mosman also has the nearby Coyote Wash project. There are 6 large drill-ready holes into the Leadville prospect, and these have been identified on seismic. And once again, there, a well was drilled by Winters Hall in 1984. That tested non-flammable gas, and the estimate there was 2.5% helium. But of course, that data has yet to be confirmed by an independent source. So, to summarize, Sproul's sagebrush valuation, the company's well at sagebrush is worth $4.5 billion. So that entirely cornerstones the Mosman investment case. The company's undertaking an extended flow test there to test the helium. Producing oil, as you know, generated $230,000 in the last 6 months. A 16 square mile high resolution 3D survey is underway at the moment to delineate new drilling locations. And from a management standpoint, the interim CEO, Howard McLaughlin, he's been with Mosman since 2017 as a manager of US operations, overseeing field activity and project development. He's now been promoted to permanent chief executive from interim CEO. So that's a real signal of confidence in where Mosman are right now. So I think the company is really poised to deliver some real value inflection points in the coming months.
And that's really interesting. So these areas have been drilled before, so it's not wildcat drilling. We know that the resource is there. It's just a matter of drilling, making sure it's still there, of course, but and then assessing that what sort of commercial value that is. So,
well, of course,
from a risk. Sorry.
Yeah. Of course, the well's been plugged. So what they've just got to do is drill through that plug, and then it opens up again. So it's a very straightforward process in relative terms. You're just going straight back down to where you were, back in '93.
Oh, right. Okay, that's a really interesting one. As I say, it's a retail favourite. It's done really well in the past, and I think that's got legs to push much higher, and with news due imminently, I think, on that one, isn't there? So
yeah,
there we go.
Nice.
So we'll go to next one, HREE, and this one is an interesting one. It's rare earths, recently listed, and there's not an awful lot of trading data for me to sort of create, targets as such. But obviously listed back here at 2.5p, I think. Well, that's where it started. It sort of fell down. Obviously, people taking some money out. But we had that first target here at 1.96216, which was hit. We had a bit of sell-off, but I think that's ready to go again. My target here would be this red box zone here, and I think that would be 2.54 up to 2.88 and possibly 3.32. But it's worth noting that because there's so little in trading data, I mean, these targets here, given the right news, and as we've seen, this week with UCOG, it could literally go anywhere. So it is really one for fundamentals. And Alan, I'll let you cover those off.
Okay, so Harena Resources is it's a rare earth company, as you rightly say. It's well positioned to supply rare earth magnet metals such as neodymium, praseodymium, dysprosium, which I always think sounds like some sort of aspirin derivative, but it's not. Terbium and other metals into these Western supply chains for renewable energy and rare earths. So Harena owns the Ampasindava rare earths ionic clay project in Madagascar. It owns it outright, 100%. Now, it's a massive project. It's highly advanced. It's one of the most significant ionic clay rare earth deposits in the world outside of China. And of course, this is key because China currently controls rare earth supplies, so there is a lot of interest in fast tracking supplies and resources outside of China, particularly in the US, which I'll come to in a second. So Harena is moving quickly to develop the resource. It contains a defined mineral resource of 628 million tons at 895 parts per million TREO, that's total rare earth oxides. It has an NI 43101 report published for the resource. 5 stages of metallurgical test work have been completed. And this is a really simple, environmentally responsible heap leach process, which has produced acceptable mineral product yields from the material. And also, in terms of sustainability, the resources are near to surface, and the company has already, when it takes the rare earths out, it stockpiles the soil and then moves that soil back afterwards, and then returns the land to where it was prior to mining. So, in terms of the developments during the current lifespan, the company raised 1.23 million after IPO at 1.5p in August. So it's now fully funded for the foreseeable future. A PFS, pre-feasibility study, is underway, on track for submission any day now. It's also completed the project design philosophy, focused on these near-surface high-grade zones and the low-impact processing that I described just now. And also, highly significantly, former Aberdeen Asset Management Ireland, the managing director, Ivan Murphy, was recently promoted to executive chairman, alongside rare ionic clay expertise or expert in the field, Alan Mulligan, who was promoted to technical director. And Alan Mulligan developed Uganda rare earths projects. He's got a very impressive CV in that regard. Now, a lot of the recent increase in the share price is due to stake building. Ramp Capital, one of the big small cap investors, has now increased the stake to 5.1%. The company's also gone for a US listing as well on the OTCQB market. And a lot of news around, as I mentioned at the start, the US is looking to build equity stakes through various investment arms in critical minerals firms. Now, a company we also work with, Breakouts Resources, the USDFC Development Finance Corporation, invested $5 million into helping them develop the Orem Cross graphite project in Uganda. It's very possible that the same thing could happen here with Harena. So either way, given where we are now with a market cap of 10 million, there is an awful lot of upside on offer.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting as well, because with an OTC listing is that, the Americans are much more sort of investor aware of these rare earth projects because they're so critical. And what a lot of people don't understand is that, for weapons, for airplanes, tanks, everything, it all needs these rare earth minerals in order to create them. The other thing is that we've got the introduction of these air taxis, which are big drones, effectively, that can fly passengers everywhere, and that's sort of gaining traction over in, I think, Chicago. China's got a lot of them, and that's going to take a lot more of these rare earths in order to put those into production. And as you say, the rare earth production is pretty much governed by China at the moment, and I think that they've put some restrictions on exports. I don't know whether it still applies, but
they have.
So Western countries need to secure their own supply if they're going to sort of compete not only militarily, but also in the technology world that's going to, it's sort of gathering pace, isn't it? With AI and all these sort of things, and as I say, air taxis and advancements in infrastructure, really, isn't it? But everything's going to require rare earth, so there is sort of a big scramble for, particularly from the United States, to get their own supply, and this is another one to put on your watch list for sure, because I think at some stage these rare earth plays will motor ahead significantly. So as the importance becomes